My viewpoint always follows from Christian ethics. So promiscuity in men is, just, from my view, right, is a no-no, just like it is with women. But while that's prescriptively true, meaning this is a prescription I give men and women, I'm also going to give a descriptive truth. The descriptive truth is that it's less of a big deal for women than it is for men. And because that is the case, that women perceive it that way versus men, the societal damage is always going to be lesser if men do it than if women do.
Sure. Yeah,
That's
that makes
it.
sense.
Simple.
Honestly, yeah.
There's my prescription. My prescription is that neither of you should do this. But descriptively, if this behavior is found in one sex versus the other, it's more damaging. That's why we have virtues. That's what femininity and masculinity is. It's a tie to virtue from the sex, right? So if women engage in one type of virtue and it does way more damage if they abandon it versus men, it's feminine. It's masculine. If men refuse the virtue, it does way more damage to society. That's a masculine virtue.
So you're saying societally, because men typically do it. Hold on, let me take this back.
No. The ramifications on society are, it's not as bad, right? The outcomes are not as bad.
Because women are generally more accepting of a high body.
No, not just that, because of reproduction. Like there's a reproductive element which goes into it, which would make it worse for especially for the outcome for children. If it is the case that women are promiscuous versus men, like for instance, you could have 300 promiscuous men all screwing the same woman, right? For like the purpose of reproduction or whatever. That would be less bad than if you had 300 women get pregnant and be single moms, right? Like ultimately that would be worse, right?
Wait, worse for what?
Just for society in general. If there was 300 single moms versus one single mom, right?
Okay.
That would still be worse. You would agree, right?
I don't know. Are you trying to make kids? I don't. Yeah.
It's not a matter of making kids.
With that.
I'm just trying to give you a scale.
Yeah.
That's it. Just like a sliding scale.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any of it's good. Just which would be more optimal, which would be better.
Makes sense.
Personally, my boyfriend and my ex right before him both had very low body counts. I don't know the exacts, but I know it's pretty low. And I actually appreciated that in him.
Okay. Yeah, we're not even saying that there's a matter of appreciation. We're just saying that ultimately, here's what I see, that women, generally speaking, have a lesser interest in the male body count than the men do with the female body count.
Sure.
And I also see the outcomes of if you have promiscuous women, because they can reproduce and men can't, seems to actually be worse if women are promiscuous than men. Because men can be promiscuous with a small pool of women, right? But if women become promiscuous with a large pool of men, there's going to be reproduction.
Is there a component here, too, to the unfairness and the double standard, is that, and I agree with Andrew insofar as I don't think either men or women should be promiscuous. I don't think promiscuity is good in men or women. But I do know that there is some cohort of men who, for example, if a woman sleeps with a bunch of men, she's a slut. If a guy sleeps with a bunch of women, he's a stud. Like it's, and not all, trust me, there's men who frown on the guy who's promiscuous too, like I just said.
Right.
Like
but
I call them fucking degenerates.
They're all degenerates.
I like that we've gotten here, though. This is great. Yeah.
But there is some men who will be impressed by a man who's sexually successful with a lot of women. So is that a component of your argument?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of it. So,
And,
I mean, I'm understanding where Andrew came from with the whole,
Right. I mean, I would, again, just to be clear, not in favor of male promiscuity.
Right.
But I guess my response to that would be, when it comes to the impressiveness factor, or men who sleep with a lot of women, they're like, oh, you're such a stud, you're so cool. The reality is, any single woman, if she wanted to, could be a slut. Oh, yeah. Any single woman could be a slut. Very, very few men can be a slut. Like most men, average man, he can't sleep with a new girl every single day. Every single girl at this table, if you wanted to, you could sleep with a new guy every single day of the week. You could probably fuck 3 guys in a day. You could probably fuck 10 guys.
Hang on. I see you shaking your head. I will prove this to you. I will put a bet on the table right now for $500 that if you and I go out to the street right now with a cardboard sign, you hold it up and say, I'll sleep with any man who wants, and I hold it up and say, I'll sleep with any woman who wants, which one of us can pick up first?